take the time to formulate questions about what it is that you're training. And the reason this is so important is because it allows you to find the edge of your understanding. You want to find the edge of your current understanding, because through our journey, what we're constantly having to do is battle with our own current level of understanding. And so what we need to do is we need to find kind of the edge, the boundary of that understanding. And one of the ways you do that is by formulating questions. And when you formulate a question, questions can be asked at different levels of resolution. For example, if someone comes to me and they say, "Hey, Jared, what's a good jiu-jitsu technique?" Or what do I do from guard? Like that's a very low resolution question, right? And the reason it's low resolution is because it's too broad, it's too general. There's too many answers, there's too many variables that are unanswered for, right? And so we need to look at the different contextual situations that are going to constrain the possibilities to allow us to ask a more gritty and finite question. Now, questions can also be too specific, so specific and so detailed that they're missing the big picture, right? And so there's always a balance between you got to find the right level of resolution for where you are in your journey and what makes the most sense to you. If you don't have the order of operation down and you're asking about this nitty-gritty detail, then you're looking too gritty, right? Too high resolution. So that's a skill that you acquire over time. And so one of the things we're also looking for is, as you start to approach the edge of your understanding, you'll start to see that, okay, this area of the technique makes sense to me and I can apply that and that works, but it only makes sense to this point here. And then past that, it starts getting foggy. And I'm not quite sure what to do exactly. I have a sense that I should probably do A or B. They were into spectrum training again, but I might do A or B, but I'm not really sure which is going to be the best option to make this technique work the best. And I'm not even sure what variables I should be considering or playing with to make sense of the matter, right? And so by learning to formulate the right kind of question, you'll start to condense that fog and bring it back in so you can make something useful out of it, right? And then as that fog starts to condense, you'll start having these ideas and well, maybe it would be here or here. And then as you investigate the higher quality of questions you ask, then that leads you to the next level of question. And usually a lot of times when I'm working with a problem, I'll have the problem and I'll let it kind of sit in the back of my mind and let it just kind of rest. I know it's in a foggy area, right? So I put my attention on it, but I let it sit and kind of simmer in the background. And as long as it's simmering in the background, as I do other things, I start to associate different things with that thing that's in the background until it starts to that fog kind of coalesces into something that's more tangible. Then I can take those things and say, okay, maybe we can start asking some questions about this. And then as I start to be able to formulate a question that's meaningful, then that question immediately, the more clear your question becomes, the more clear the answer will be, right? It's obvious, well, it should be this or that. Well, now that's going to lead to a better question and a deeper question, right? It pushes that fog back, the explored territory gets greater, and then you can move deeper into the forest. If you've played a role-playing game or whatnot, a lot of times they'll have a character that will, as they explore the map might be kind of unseen, and then as your character moves to the map, it starts to show you what that area of the region looks like, and then you can go back and revisit it later on. So that's very accurate for how we explore unexplored territory, right? And that's what's happening in jiu-jitsu all the time. So making sure that you're able to ask the right type of questions, formulate them, it's a skill that you got to develop, right? And it takes time. And ask poor questions, because that's where it starts, right? You want to ask questions that are low resolution, but then always be thinking, how can I increase the, the resolution of the question? And is that fitting for the situation I'm in? And if you do that consistently, you're going to have better jiu-jitsu. Another way of thinking about it is that a question will kind of frame a problem, right? And so by boxing it in a sense. And so as you question and ask different types of questions, that framing gives the problem a different tint, right? And so so I could ask, given the same technique, I could ask, how am I remaining centered while doing this portion of the technique? Or I could ask, how am I utilizing the best connections possible during this technique? Or I could ask, what's the possibility for utilizing leverage or creating a structure or what structures are being utilized within this technique, and how are they being utilized? So those are some examples of different questions you could ask about the same technique, right? And they're going to give you completely different responses, right? If you just let that sit in the background, you'll come up with different answers and solutions, and that's going to help fill out your understanding of the technique. If you like this content and you want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the mat.